Welcome back to Joy TCG, where it's Final Fantasy TCG all the time. So I've got another deck tech today. It's been a while since my last post because the decks I've been building have been, well, they've been trash. So I haven't posted about them because I don't want to spread that, bad decks. So I'm hoping that this one has seemed to work out well so far. And with the new additions from Opus 18, I hope it has improved and not made it worse. So what we've got here is essentially the base of this is the Noctis build from the starter deck. You've got Noctis, you've got Ignis, Gladiolus, and Prompto, 3 copies of each. Some people complain that this Ignis isn't cool enough and they like the old Ignis better, but that's not my take on it. I really like that he lets you activate all your characters when he or Noctis attacks, and that's huge. It makes a giant difference if either one of them are able to attack. So if they stop you, then yeah, you don't get that benefit. But he also has the protection piece preventing them from choosing Noctis, Gladiolus, or Prompto. So it's just a generally good card, but it's not a make or break type of card. Other additions that I've made to this are Aerith, to boost by 2,000 so that when something comes to the field, it gets an extra 2k blast from Noctis's ability. When something comes to the field, an earth or wind forward comes to the field, it does damage equal to its power to one of your opponent's forwards. And as you may notice, most of my forwards are fairly strong. Aerith isn't, Poppy isn't, and Charlotta is not, but everything else is an 8k or higher because Prompto goes up to 8 if Noctis is on the field. So if he's going to hit, he's going to hit for 8 because Noctis would have to be on the field for him to get that bonus. Or more if Aerith is on the field. Or Poppy. So Poppy is a new addition I added that makes it so that wind forwards you control cannot be blocked by a forward of 3 or more, which that by itself has won me a few games because they couldn't block and I just attacked in and won. And the earth forwards you control gain 1,000 power and brave, which is why this Ignis is better now, because the old Ignis gave all my 15 forwards brave. Well, now Poppy gives all earth forwards brave, so that counts Noctis and Gladiolus. It does not count Ignis and Prompto, but it does also now give me brave for Cloud and Aerith and Y'shtola, which is huge because Y'shtola is a big beast that can't be doesn't take damage less than her power. And there's Tifa. So all those, and Galoof, and Titan, my goodness. A lot of earth forwards. So all getting that extra 1,000 power and brave, and that's a field effect. So once again, if something comes to the field and Poppy's on the field and Noctis, you're hitting for even more power. Tifa, I added her in because if she's dealt damage, reduce the damage by 2, and when she comes to the field, you can pay 2 CP, and then her and another forward deal damage equal to their power to each other. That's not near as powerful as Noctis's wording, where the forward does damage to the opponent. They both do damage to each other, so Tifa takes damage on that, but her damage is reduced by 2. And hopefully, she wouldn't die unless she was attacking into a 10 or higher, which is unlikely. The times that I've ran into issues with this is when my opponent has a 9,000 on the field and I don't have enough power to kill them with Tifa. So that doesn't do me any good, so I don't pay the 2 and just don't get that benefit, which is fine. Also, Tifa and Aerith are 7 characters, so they can protect Cloud from abilities, which I've used that a few times to save Cloud. And they're like, oh, you probably don't have a 7 character because it's really a 15 build in your hand. Sure enough, every time it's happened, I had Tifa in my hand. I was like, well, that was convenient. And Cloud was saved, and it changed the course of the game. Like, it's huge if they think they're going to be able to kill, 10k Cloud, and then they don't. Because they probably spent a lot of CP to do that. This new Galoof card, I'm extremely excited about. When Galoof attacks, choose one forward opponent controls, deal damage equal to Galoof's power. There's a common theme here if you didn't notice. Everything in this deck that deals damage is damage equal to their power, which accounts for fight damage. So, all fight damage is immune to the protections of like Soiree, where it says one of the soiree members is dealt damage by summon or ability, reduce the damage to 0. Fight damage doesn't count as damage due to a summon or ability. So even though it's ability written on the card, it counts as fight damage, so it goes right through, and they can't reduce that damage. That's why I don't have any damage reducing protections like Kuchaspel or anything like that, because this just busts right through those. So Galoof does it, Tifa does it, Noctis does it for everything else that comes to the field, just not himself, and Cloud does it, because Cloud's fight damage is you must block me. So essentially that's fight damage as well. And then we've also got 2 copies of Hecatoncheir, which does fight damage. You choose one forward on each side and they fight each other. And because most of these forwards are strong, it gives a very good likelihood that you're going to be the winner. The downsides of this deck are all the EXs search for cards. There's no EX that does damage. There's no EX that prevents them from attacking. If you get behind and you're at damage 5 and they're at damage 1, you're in bad shape. It's hard to come back from that with this deck, at least with EXs. But Iris is another great protection thing. Choose a forward. It gains this forward cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities till the end of the turn. The same wording as Cloud has, essentially. He gets 1,000 power and cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities. But this is for any forward. Cloud only protects himself with that. This is just turn and break Iris, and you can make any of your forwards untargetable this turn by abilities only. I only have ability protection in this deck as well. That's another downside. I have no summon protection except Mist Dragon, which can cancel a summon. That's why Mist Dragon is in here. Normally Mist Dragon is in because that people want to remove your opponent's break zone. It may be beneficial to do that because that's always not a bad move, but really the reason for the Mist Dragon is to protect against summons that are going to destroy us, especially instant breaks. No protection against instant break summons at all. But that's how I build my decks. They are themed against one idea, and that's go all in. Now, if I do come across another copy of Galoof, this is the only one I own, I will probably add another copy of Galoof in and reduce my backups by 1. Sadly, I'll probably take out a Chelinka because I don't want to lose an EX burst, and I'm definitely not losing one of these 2 backups. They're absolutely the key to this deck. And now that Iris is in, she's been huge as well. But the other card that is important is Charlotta. I only have run 1 copy of her, but it's the Warp 2 card, and then she comes in and you search for any card, which is the only way I can search for a summon in this deck, and that can be a huge piece to get me through, or I need a Noctis, something like that. There's a lot of ways to search for Noctis, so it's not really necessary usually, but I've had situations where I'm like, I can't find a Noctis. I need him. This deck is built around that guy. If he's not on the field, it's a lot harder to win. You can, but it's a lot harder. I've also ran into issues trying to run Titan because of auto ability canceling, so that's why I added these Mist Dragons back in to try to stop Amaterasu and Leviathan from making my 7 CP awesome card into a 7 CP terrible card. Cindy lets you search for 2 category 15 forwards and add them to your hand. This is humongous, especially since I get her very early in the game usually. I don't know why, it just almost always happens that way. If I don't see either Shantoto or Cindy on the draw, I usually will mulligan and go for another because they're like the key, unless I already started with Noctis and another retainer in my hand, which has happened as well. But if I don't start with Noctis and another retainer, I will look for Shantoto or Cindy. Shantoto's says if Shantoto's on the field, Shantoto can produce win CP, which is nice. And then when it comes to the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck and add a wind and an earth card to your hand. And that's card, not... Let me verify here. Yeah, it's not character. So you could grab summons with that ability as well, which I have done. Every once in a while, it's like, oh, this Hecatoncheir is the right card for me right now. And throw it in your hand, and then you kill something immediately. Galoof is super powerful and can get huge if you are willing to pay to make him big. And then Gladiolus, as you probably are aware, gains 1,000 power and brave at damage 3, and he does 2,000 more damage every time he does damage. So when he comes to the field and Noctis is on the field, he hits for 11 automatically. If he's at damage 3, he hits for 12. It's very strong. He almost always will kill something unless they have a way to get him off the field. Wind, mono wind with all their storm tactics can be problematic, but it forces them to use the CP to get him off the field too. So it just takes time to bust through all that. The decks that I've struggled with this against so far are Knights. Water Fire Knights are hard to deal with because all their power is really in their backups, and I don't have any way to deal with backups. And that can be problematic because they can put 3 or 4 forwards on the field at once, especially with the new Ramza card. I can only really deal with 1 forward per turn with this deck. Sometimes 2, but going against 3 or 4 is problematic. And then the other deck that I've struggled against is Ice Lightning Rush with the Turks, because they sometimes can get big enough where I can't kill them with my come to the field damage, and that is a problem as well. If I've got a guy that's coming to the field and the person I want to hit is a 12 or a 13 because of all the bonuses from Turks, that's really difficult to get over with this deck. You have to be able to kill something when you activate Noctis' ability. All right, well, oh, and Chelinka. Chelinka is the key to winning at the end. If you're not familiar with Chelinka, it's when she enters the field, choose a forward. Until the end of the turn, it gains Brave, and this forward can attack twice in the same turn. I've won multiple games by playing Chelinka when they're at damage 5, or they see I'm showing damage 5 on their turn, and they're like, yeah, I'll survive. I'm okay. And then I'll play either Prompto or Stola for haste, and then play Chelinka, and that's game over. And I've caught multiple people off guard with that, because not very many people play Chelinka, but being able to let any forward attack twice and give it Brave is huge. It's just huge. It's so worth it. Like I said, if I get another Galoof, I may go down 1 Chelinka, but that's going to be painful because, gosh, I love that card. All right, well, this is my deck. I probably didn't cover every single card in here, but you can look them up on FF Decks if you're not sure what they do. Let me know what you think.